Good morning, everyone. Today's topic is dacryocystitis. So, before we start dacryocystitis, we will discuss in brief the anatomy of the lacrimal apparatus. The lacrimal apparatus consists of the lacrimal gland, which has two parts: orbital part and the palpebral part. Then there are 10 to 12 lacrimal ducts. Then medially there is upper and lower puncta. Then comes the upper and lower canaliculus, which connects the punctum to the lacrimal sac. Then is a lacrimal sac, which is located in the lacrimal fossa in the anterior part of the medial orbital wall. Then comes the nasolacrimal duct, which starts from the lacrimal sac and ends in the inferior meatus of the nose. It is about 15 to 18 millimeter long, and it has numerous membranous wall. The most important is the valve of Hasner, which is present at the lower end of the duct and prevents the reflux from the nose. Now starting with dacryocystitis, first is congenital dacryocystitis. Dacryocystitis is mainly inflammation of lacrimal sac. When it occurs in newborn infants, it is called as congenital dacryocystitis or dacryocystitis neonatal. So the causes, so it can be mainly due to stasis of secretions in the lacrimal sac, which is due to congenital blockage in the nasolacrimal duct, or it can be due to membranous occlusion in its lower end near the valve of Hasner. So, other causes of nasolacrimal duct blockage are presence of epithelial debris, membranous occlusion in its upper end near the lacrimal sac, or complete non-canalization, or rarely it can be due to bony occlusion. The common bacteria associated with congenital dacryocystitis are Staphylococci, Pneumococci, and Streptococci. The clinical features of congenital dacryocystitis are epiphora, which develops after 7 days of birth and can be followed by copious mucopurulent discharge from the eyes, as shown in the first image. There is mucopurulent discharge on regurgitation. That is, the regurgitation is usually positive. That is the Ropla's test. When you apply pressure over the lacrimal sac area, there is purulent discharge, regurgitation from the lower puncta, as shown in the first image. Then there can also be swelling on the sac, as shown in the second image. Differential diagnosis of congenital dacryocystitis is ophthalmia and congenital glaucoma, and its complications are recurrent conjunctivitis, acute on chronic dacryocystitis, lacrimal abscess, and fistula formation. Treatment: massage over the lacrimal sac area and topical antibiotics. This is the mainstay of treatment. The massage increases the hydrostatic pressure in the sac and helps to open the membranous occlusion. It is done at least 4 times a day, and after that antibiotic drops are instilled. And in this treatment, there is 90% of the cases there is no spontaneous recanalization of infants up to 6 to 9 months. The next is lacrimal syringing, that is irrigation with normal saline and antibiotic solution. It is done if this condition is not cured up to the age of 3 months. Lacrimal irrigation helps to open the membranous occlusion by exerting hydraulic pressure, and syringing may be carried out once a week or once in 2 weeks. Next is probing of the nasolacrimal duct with Bowman's probe. This is performed if the condition is not cured by the age of 6 months. Some surgeons prefer to wait till 9 to 12 months also. It is performed under general anesthesia, and care must be taken not to injure the canaliculus. Single probing will relieve the obstruction. In case of failure, it is repeated after an interval of 3 to 4 weeks. Next is balloon catheter dilation with the help of a probe carrying inflatable balloon. This is carried in children where repeated probing is a failure, or directly in cases where obstruction is due to scarring or constriction rather than merely by a distal membrane. Then next is intubation with silicone tube. This is performed if repeated probing and balloon catheter dilatation are failed, and silicone tubes should be kept in the nasolacrimal duct for about 6 months. Next is dacryocysto-rhinostomy. If the child presents very late, or repeating probing or balloon catheter dilatation, intubation, all these treatments have failed, then conservative treatment by massaging, topical antibiotics, intermittent lacrimal syringing should be continued till the age of 4 years, and after this DCR can be done. Adult dacryocystitis, in this chronic dacryocystitis is more common than acute dacryocystitis, and causes are the predisposing factors are age between 40 to 60 years of age. Then females are more affected due to comparatively narrow lumen of the bony canal. Also, it is rarer in Negroes due to shorter, wider, and less sinus in a nasolacrimal duct, and heredity also plays a role. It affects the facial configuration, and so the length and the width of the bony canal can be varied. Then socioeconomic status, it is more commonly seen in low socioeconomic group and people with poor personal hygiene. Then the factors which are responsible for stasis of tears include anatomical factors like comparatively narrow bony canal, partial canalization of the membranous NLD, excessive membranous fold in the NLD, then foreign bodies, excessive lacrimation causing stagnation of tears, then mild grade inflammation of the lacrimal sac due to recurrent conjunctivitis, also obstruction of the lower end of nasolacrimal duct by nasal polyps, hypertrophied inferior concha, etc. The major sources of infection of the lacrimal sac are conjunctiva, nasal cavity, and paranasal sinuses. Then causative organisms include Staphylococcus, Pneumococci, Streptococci, Pseudomonas, etc. The clinical features, there are four stages of chronic dacryocystitis. Stage 1 is stage of chronic catarrhal dacryocystitis, and this the patient complains of watering. On syringing, there is clear fluid and with few fibrinous mucoid flakes. On dacryocystography, there is a presence of block in the nasolacrimal duct, but the lacrimal sac is normal with healthy mucosa. Then second stage is stage of lacrimal mucocele. The symptoms here are again epiphora, but there is also presence of swelling near the inner canthus. On regurgitation, there is milky or gelatinous mucoid fluid regurgitation from the lower puncta on pressing of the swelling. On dacryocystography, there is a distended sac with blockage somewhere in the nasolacrimal duct. Also, sometimes due to chronic infection, the opening of the canaliculi of into the sac are blocked, and a swelling is seen in the inner canthus with a negative regurgitation test. This is called encysted mucocele. Then the third stage is stage of chronic suppurative dacryocystitis. In this, the due to pyogenic infection, the mucosal is converted into pyocele, and the symptoms include epiphora, recurrent conjunctivitis, swelling over the inner canthus with mild erythema of the skin over it. Then on regurgitation, there is frank purulent discharge from the lower puncta, and if if the openings of the canaliculi are again blocked, it can form encysted pyocele. The last stage is stage of chronic fibrotic sac. Repeated infections of low grade may ultimately result in formation of a small fibrotic sac, which is due to the thickening of mucosa, and it is associated with persistent epiphora and discharge. On dacryocystography, there is a small sac with irregular folds in the mucosa. Complications, these include in chronic in conjunctivitis, acute on chronic dacryocystitis, ectropion, corneal aberrations leading to hypopion ulcer, and if any surgery is performed in the presence of dacryocystitis, then there is a high risk of developing endophthalmitis. Treatment of chronic dacryocystitis includes conservative treatment by probing and lacrimal syringing, and long-standing cases are associated with blockage of NLD, which usually do not open with probing. Then next is the balloon catheter dilatation. Also, dacryocystorhinestomy can be performed, or dacryocystectomy can be done. Another method is conjunctivodacryocystorhinestomy. Next is acute dacryocystitis. It is an acute suppurative inflammation of the lacrimal sac, and there is a painful swelling in the region of the sac. It can be due to an acute exacerbation of chronic dacryocystitis, or due to acute peridacryocystitis due to direct involvement from the neighboring infected structures such as paranasal sinuses, surrounding bones, dental abscess, carious teeth in the upper jaw. Then the causative organisms include Streptococcus, Hemolyticus, Pneumococcus, and Staphylococcus. Clinical features, there is three stages. There are three stages. That is, first is the stage of cellulitis. It is characterized by a painful swelling in the region of lacrimal sac. There is epiphora, and there are general symptoms like fever and malaise. The swelling is red, hot, firm, and tender. Redness and edema spread to the lips, cheeks, etc. When if treated, resolution may occur at this stage, and if untreated, it may self-resolve very rarely. Uh, in this stage, the treatment consists of systemic and topical antibiotics to control the infection, and systemic anti-inflammatory analgesic drugs and hot fomentation can be done to relieve the pain and swelling. The next is the stage of lacrimal abscess. The continued inflammation causes occlusion of the canaliculi due to edema. The sac is filled with pus and distends, and its anterior wall ruptures, and there is pericystic swelling formation. In this large swelling, the lacrimal abscess is formed. It usually points below and to the outer sac due to gravitation of pus, and there is a presence of medial palpebral ligament in the upper part, so it points below and out to to the outside. Then treatment in this stage, in addition to the treatment, general treatment like the systemic topical antibiotics and hot fomentation and analgesics, uh, the pus, when it starts pointing, it should be drained with a small incision, and the pus should be gently squeezed out. The dressing done with betadine soaked gauze after that. Then later, depending on the condition, DCT or DCR can be carried out. If not done, there will be recurrence. Then third is the stage of fistula formation. When lacrimal abscess is left unattended, it discharges spontaneously, leaving external fistula below the medial palpebral ligament. Also, sometimes the fistula may open into the nasal cavity, forming internal fistula. The treatment at this level is controlling the acute infection uh, first, and with systemic antibiotics, then later fistulectomy along with DCT or DCR operation should be performed. So these are the three stages with their treatment. And the complication of acute dacryocystitis is acute conjunctivitis, chronic corneal abrasion, which may convert into corneal ulceration, lid abscess, osteomyelitis, orbital cellulitis, then facial cellulitis and acute ethmoiditis. Rarely there can be cavernous sinus thrombosis, and also generalized septicemia may also develop rare. So this is in short regarding the dacryocystitis, congenital dacryocystitis, and in adults chronic and acute. Uh, so I hope you understood. Thank you.